Hey everyone, it's Sarah. Welcome back to Mommy's Mojo. So I feel like we've gotten to the point of our relationship where we can go a little bit deeper. You know what I mean? So today I'm going to be talking about my personal pregnancy journey. So after a whole year of trying to get pregnant using ovulation sticks, ovulation calendars, we got pregnant almost a year to the day when I stopped taking my birth control. We ended up having a gender reveal around 18 weeks. We did the blood test to find out the sex. And we did a baseball themed. I know, super cliche, but my husband used to play baseball back in school. He's half Dominican and Puerto Rican. It's like a no-brainer that we're gonna have a baseball themed gender reveal. We ended up finding out we're having a boy. It was really, really fun. But unfortunately, due to the Rona, all of our other fun pre-baby plans were canceled. So we had to find new clever ways of doing different things that we had to cancel, unfortunately. Like my baby shower, we ended up doing a virtual baby shower. We ended up doing our own DIY pregnancy maternity photos, which I'm going to be doing separate videos for those. So keep tuned. I'm going to show you how to do your own DIY photo shoot, as well as, you know, what steps we took to do a virtual baby shower and how we kind of made it fun without being actually in person. So speaking of maternity, finding maternity clothes was the hardest thing for me. I ended up not buying maternity clothes until well halfway into my pregnancy. I refused to buy $40 maternity shorts or maternity jeans and shirts that were more than $20. I couldn't find myself to buy anything at Target or at Kohl's or even Motherhood. I just felt like they were too expensive. One day I was in Ross and I saw that they had a maternity section. I ended up buying 2 pairs of shorts for like 15 bucks. If there was a Ross or Burlington in your area, I spent half the cost of what I would have done if I would have bought them full price anywhere else. I mean, I bought maternity nursing bras for like 5 bucks as well as tank tops. So you can't beat prices like that. So definitely check out those kind of stores if you want to buy maternity clothes, because if you're like me and you really don't want to spend 40 bucks on shorts that you're only going to wear for like 4 months, then definitely find different ways of doing it, as well as, you know, asking friends that were pregnant, hey, do you still have some of your maternity clothes that I can borrow? Those are definitely really great options to do as well. So fast forward to our 3rd trimester. We almost missed out doing our 3rd trimester ultrasounds just because our doctor's office stopped doing ultrasounds that weren't completely necessary for the health of the baby. So our last ultrasound was at our anatomy ultrasound, which was way super early on. So we ended up doing a private ultrasound. If you live in the Lee County, Southwest Florida area, New Beginnings is an amazing place, amazing studio. Jamie, she's great. She really worked with us. She was really great at moving the baby around. Rain was super photogenic. We got some really great shots in there of him. So I'll definitely put her website down below if anybody who lives in this area is looking for some ultrasound pictures. She's definitely the place to go, as well as she's super affordable. It was definitely worth all the money to be able to get the videos. She gives you the videos and the pictures virtually, so that way you don't have to wait for them or have to print it out and then scan them. They get them right onto your phone right after your appointments. It was super fun, and it was the most amazing thing to ever see, to kind of see him in 3D and to kind of see a little bit of how he was going to look, kind of like a little sneak peek. It was so cute. He was sucking on his toes and his fingers, and it was just the best experience in the world. Especially, I was kind of down at that point just because of the virus and a whole bunch of things that were canceled. It was kind of making me really down, so my husband was like, you know what, let's go and do this. She was really sanitary. She kept everything clean. There was nobody else in the studio but us. So it was a really great experience. I didn't feel like she was, you know, she kept things nice and safe, which is a plus. So everything kind of went smooth, but up until the end of my 3rd trimester is when things started to get a little hairy. I did not know you can get morning sickness again in your 3rd trimester. I didn't have any morning sickness other than the occasional queasiness or just, you know, feeling like gross. I didn't get sick. I didn't have intense nausea or anything like that. It was super chill. 3rd trimester hits, I'm like almost heading to the toilet. Like it sucked. I have a phobia of getting sick, so when I started to feel super intensely nauseous, oh my gosh, it freaked me out. I didn't understand why I was feeling that way till I found out by my doctor that you can get morning sickness in your 3rd trimester, which sucks so hardcore. Like, they should tell you these things in the beginning. So holy moly, I was feeling it. Heartburn, oh my god. I never gotten heartburn before, and then all of a sudden I'd eat a cheeseburger and it was like, holy crap, heartburn. I would drink juice and it was like, heartburn. I would friggin' think about eating Chinese food and, you know, think about them egg rolls and that wonton soup, and it was like, oh, heartburn. I even drank water and that shit gave me heartburn. Heartburn. And so I thought, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna eat anything that's gonna agitate it. I'm just gonna drink water that's like in small increments. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I want a mint. The worst heartburn I had ever had was because of a mint. A mint. One singular mint. I had heartburn for like an hour and a half. No matter how many times I freaking popped, oh my gosh, that heartburn sucked. Like lasted forever, I felt like. So come to find out, my son had a lot of hair when he was born, so I guess that associates it with heartburn. So that kind of sucked. I didn't have heartburn before, and all of a sudden I was getting this intense amount of heartburn. So I was just kind of like, how do you get heartburn from water? I was like, what kind of sorcery is that? But that went away eventually. It only came back at certain moments. I couldn't eat cheeseburgers for the end of my pregnancy, which sucked because cheeseburgers was one of my cravings. I craved cheeseburgers, preferably from McDonald's. Preferably a McDouble, plain with cheese. This is my craving. And some Frenchy fries. So that kind of sucked that I couldn't eat that at the end of the last 4 weeks of my pregnancy, so that kind of stunk. So well, that same day, I don't know if it was the heartburn mint or what, but I was getting some crazy Braxton Hicks contractions, and then I was getting this thing called lightning crotch. Yeah, that's a thing. Didn't know it was a thing, but that was a thing. It literally feels the way it sounds. Well, that was happening really strong, and it was making me feel the urge to push, so I was, didn't know what was going on. So I did what any reasonable woman having a baby for the first time would do. I freaked out, and I went to the triage because I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was going into labor at 37 weeks. I was going crazy. So when I get to the hospital, they tell me that I'm 1 centimeter dilated, and literally the doctor was like itching my son's head because he was pushing himself so low in the canal that he was getting himself super ready for birth, and they said that he's definitely coming soon at that point, just because of how low he was sitting, to the point like she literally said, I'm literally rubbing his head. Freaked me out, letting the doctor know that she was freaking rubbing his head. I thought like I was gonna sneeze, and all of a sudden this boy was just gonna shoot out at any moment. Then fast forward a week, I ended up getting really bad cramps when I was around 2 days right before 38 weeks. I was holy poop. I was having the worst contractions ever. They sucked. They actually went all the way up to being 5 minutes apart. I now remember my husband was saying that the doctor said that anytime you would have to go to the hospital is if your water breaks or if your contractions are 5 minutes apart. So we ended up going to the hospital again. Come to find out, I was in early labor. But because my water didn't break and I wasn't 5 centimeters, they couldn't admit me because I wasn't 38 weeks, even though I was 2 days shy. So I ended up having to go home. They ended up giving me some pain pills because it was really, really strong. I ended up going home, falling asleep, and can you guess what? It stopped. Literally just stopped. I woke up, no contractions, no pain, no cramps, nothing. Like just nothing. It was the weirdest thing ever. My doctor was so for sure when I went to my appointment that Tuesday. She was like, what happened? I thought you were gonna come back. I thought you were gonna end up having that baby today. And I was like, I know. I thought so too. But it literally just stopped. Nothing happened for almost a full week. So that was kind of crazy. But at 39 weeks, this is when things got a little bit crazy and a little interesting. I realized my son at that point was gonna be just as dramatic as his mama coming into this world just like that. So this boy put me into early labor again, but this time my contractions were 10 times worse. They were in my back. It felt like my back was on fire. I was so persistent on not going to the hospital because I didn't want to get sent home, because if I was going to get sent home, you was going to see me on the news flipping some tables, because I did not want to get sent home feeling that bad. My contractions were more than a minute long at that point, and they were 4 to 5 minutes apart. So I ended up going to the hospital again because they were just insane. When they were in the triage, they were strapping me up with all the sound machines and stuff like that. The nurse was having a hard time finding his heart rate. We can hear it, but it was super faint. So she didn't want to freak me out, so she was not paying attention to me. She was more or less trying to find his heart rate, thinking maybe it was just a placement. He's somewhere where, where she was placing it, he wasn't seeing it. Then all of a sudden she disappeared. Then she came back frantic. and she was trying to find his heart rate again. And all of a sudden, not even 2 seconds later, a slew of nurses came walking in. They told me to push me on one side, they pushed me to another side, they told me to get up, they told me to bend over, they told me to sit on my side. They were pushing my stomach one way, pushing my stomach to another, so they finally were able to get a strong heartbeat. And they realized that my husband, so they could find a strong heartbeat, and they realized that my son's heart rate had dropped. So they had called my doctor once his heart rate got back up and it was fine and it wasn't going to drop back down anytime soon. They called my doctor and they ended up admitting me. This was at 39 weeks. So they ended up admitting me, and they told me that for some reason his heart rate kept dropping, so they wanted to induce me just in case. So they were going to wait till the next day at 4 in the morning to induce me. But then all of a sudden, like maybe an hour after I was admitted, my head contractions had slowed when I was sitting in the triage for a few hours. But when I got admitted about an hour later, my contractions started to hit hard. I mean, they were worse. Like some of the readings they had were like contractions were 2 minutes apart, and they were like a minute and a half long, and sometimes they would go back to being 4 minutes apart, but then 2 minutes long. It was just, I was in so, oh my gosh, it hurts so bad. So I'm a real pansy when it comes to pain, so I asked them to give me something. So they gave me something that was kind of making me a little loopy, but within that time, his heart rate had dropped twice more. Once it dropped low, but not enough low enough for them to be like, oh, something serious, because then it went back up like right away. Then again, a couple hours later, it dropped down again, but this time it took a little bit longer to come back up, but still not enough for, you know, any emergency. And then at 1:30 in the morning, I was sleeping. The contractions had gotten really, really bad to the point I felt it through the pain medicine. A few of them, it was like, I remember when they came in, they were like, wow, her contractions are super high, and going super long. So then my husband was falling asleep when he noticed that he heard my son's heart rate drop a little bit more. So right when he was about to call the nurse's office, a team of nurses came in and the doctor came in. They started flipping me around again, trying to figure out the same position. This time his heart rate dropped a lot longer than they were comfortable with. So this time they consulted my doctor, who wasn't on call, but they consulted her as well as the doctor that was on call, to kind of figure out what options they would do. Because this is now the 4th time that his heart rate had dropped within a few hours span. I think it was like 10 to 12 hour span. And this time it had dropped it held for a while, being dropped that way. So finally when they got him stable with his heart rate, they had came and talked to me, and they said that they felt the best option to do was a C-section. At this point, I'm kind of loopy, so my emotions are like all over the place. I'm literally crying because the moment they ran in, I was sleeping and they woke me up to move me, so I'm thinking, oh my god, the worst. I'm like, my tears are streaming, my husband's eyes are red, so I'm thinking, oh my god, what's going on? They started draining my system of all of the painkillers so that way I could be more coherent with what was going on. So when they ended up flushing it a little bit out so that way I was more understanding what was going on, she sat me down and she told me that a C-section was something that was a little bit more necessary to do. She said it's my choice if I wanted to wait till 4 o'clock in the morning to get induced and to try it naturally. We can totally do that, but just be a reminder that if his heart rate drops again and this time it takes longer, we're going to end up having to do a C-section again, but an emergency one. And this time, you know, we're having to worry about the baby's health. Right now he's stabilized, so he's healthy, and doing a C-section is less, you know, intense and not having to be as rushed because he's stable. If we were to wait and his heart rate would drop, and it'd be that point that they wouldn't even wait. They would get me straight into a C-section room and it'd be very overwhelming. So they gave me the choice. I talked to my husband. I said, what did you think we should do? We kind of weighed out the options. He said it's more important that our son coming into the world healthy than anything else, which I 100% agreed with. I was hell-bent on not having a C-section. I was terrified. I've never had a surgery before. I've never gone under before. I've never done anything major like that. So I was super scared about it. My pregnancy went through without such a hitch that I didn't even research C-sections because of the fact that he was sitting so low. We thought we were gonna have a very quick and, you know, simple vag delivery. We never even thought that a C-section was gonna even come into our radar and our crosshairs. So I was kind of freaking out a little bit. I was super scared. I'm also really terrified of needles. So when it came to talking about like the epidural and stuff like that, it was kind of like more, you know, I wasn't as much in pain. because I was still weaning off of the pain meds. But the moment that pain started hitting me right back, everything started flooding in. I was super emotional. I was stressing myself out. I had to calm myself down a couple times. I actually had to call my therapist to, you know, kind of let her know what was going on, because I have really bad anxiety. So when we ended up going into the OR, my husband had to step away where they had to do the epidural. I had a really amazing nursing team that was with me. One nurse in particular that was my delivery nurse, she was a godsend. She was such a blessing. She knew I was scared of needles, so when they did the epidural, she let me hug her to be able to feel a little bit more comfortable when they were numbing me down. And then when my husband stepped away with the baby after he was born, she came over and she started talking to me because she noticed my heart rate was going up, and I was starting to freak out because I had nobody to talk to at that point. And all I was thinking about and concentrating was the pressure on my abdomen, feeling them closing me up and moving my organs back, and all that pressure that you were feeling. Like, you weren't feeling the pain and you weren't feeling it, but you were feeling the movement, you were feeling the pressure. So it was making my mind wonder, like, what are they pushing? Oh my God, am I exposed? So my heart rate started going up. And so she noticed that, and she came over and she started talking to me. She was telling me about my son, how beautiful he was. You know, I got to see him for a little bit before they had to take him out of the room. And she was saying how healthy he was doing, how great he was doing, and it took my mind off of it, and I ended up calming down. So she was such a blessing to have, as well as a couple of the other nurses that were there were so fantastic. One of them I even knew when I was younger. So it was really nice to have a team of nurses that were just amazing, and I was so happy I got them as a group of nurses throughout my time at the hospital, and that it made everything a little bit more easier. So after they were done with my C-section, my son was born. He was born at 2:05 on May 30th. He was 6 pounds, 12 ounces, and 20 inches. So when we got back into our birthing suite, I kind of had a weird moment where I was holding my son in my hand, and I was kind of feeling gas bubbles in my stomach, so it felt like baby's kicks, and I just kind of had like a big meltdown. I couldn't believe the cycle that we gone through, and it just kind of brings back to, even though my story was nowhere worse, you know, was not, you know, the worst thing in the world. There was women out there that have the worst situations than I had, that had to go through some serious things over what I did. Mine was minor compared to some other women. We all have our own story. My preconceived notions of having my delivery and what our plan was completely went to left field. It kind of shows that no matter what, you kind of have to be prepared for everything, and no matter what you do, you just have to remember that, you know, you're gonna make it out at the end. Everything's gonna be okay, because if anybody who deals with anxiety or stress, you know, my anxiety completely flared up. I had to deal with some real heavy mental recoveries afterwards, just because of how everything kind of went down. It kind of shocked my senses a little bit. It kind of made me kind of traumatized a little bit about it, even though my situation wasn't that bad. So I'll get into another video on how I handled and overcame some of my mental and physical recovery. I can't stress enough though that if you're having a hard time mentally, talk to somebody, talk to a doctor, talk to a girlfriend, talk to, you know, a therapist, and kind of talk through it. If you leave it hanging, sometimes it can get worse, and it's going to be harder to overcome the more you hold it in. So just know that you're definitely not alone. If you're feeling some type of way, or you're feeling really down, just know that you're not the only mommy out there that felt that way. There's so many women out there that have gone through postpartum depression, gone through some severe anxiety afterwards. Postpartum is a big deal, and being able to talk about that more, we're kind of losing the stigma of it being such a bad thing to talk about, how taboo, how we're not strong enough, or whatever nonsense that people say out there when we do talk about this stuff, because truly we are strong. You know, women are strong enough to birth in a baby into this world. There's gonna be some mental recovery you're gonna have to do from that too. You know, we are strong women, and we need to know that sometimes we do need to ask for help. Whether that's just, like I said, talking to somebody about it, talking to a girlfriend, having some wine, and just ranting. You just gotta get it out one way or another. Overall, I was really blessed with my pregnancy. My sister-in-law was pregnant at the same time, so it was kind of fun. You know, we were 6 weeks apart, so anytime she was like, yo, are you feeling this? I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling this. She was like, no, but are you really feeling this? Like, yo, what is this about? And I'm like, yo, I don't know, what is this about? So then her older sister actually already had a baby, so there's a lot of times we actually had a group chat with all three of us. So anytime we had any weird things that went on, I'd be like, yo, this just happened, is this normal? She'll be like, yeah, don't worry about it, that's normal. Or she'll be like, yo, no, talk to your doctor, that's weird. So it's really nice that we can bond, and it made our relationship 10 times more stronger than what it already was. I feel like now we're on this whole other level, and it really makes my heart super happy. As well as one of my really good friends, her due date was actually a month to the day. So I was due June 3rd, she was due July 3rd. And her son was actually born 4 weeks to the day of Rain. So he has another, you know, partner in crime that he can grow up with, and that again makes my heart happy again, because I had 2 wonderful mommies that were pregnant at the same time with me, as well as you know, a handful of mommies like my mom, my husband's mom, my husband's older sister, that we kind of had as a really good support system. Surround yourself with great support system, moms. You know, that's gonna, you know, make everything so much easier just to have some good support systems, different opinions to bounce off of, because not one opinion is the right opinion. There's so many different ways to do different things that hearing a slew of stories is, you know, what's more important. That's exactly, again, why I'm doing this channel, is just to get more information out there, to get more stories, to get more experiences. The more you hear, the more you're prepared, the more you know. We just need to be there for each other as mommies, kind of getting all of our stories out there, no matter how embarrassing, weird, or traumatizing it may be. It may help somebody along the way just by hearing it. But thank you guys so much for hearing out my journey, letting me talk about my pregnancy, my delivery of my little one. Again, this is the reason why I started this channel. I just wanted to share my story so that I could possibly help another mom out there. Nothing goes the way that we plan, but the more we know, the better we can prepare. So if you guys have any questions for me, or if there's something that I didn't go over in my pregnancy story that you're curious about, throw them in the comments. Ask me. I am an open book and an open story. I will tell y'all. If you got a question, put it down there. I'll answer you. Let's talk about it. I may tell you what happened, or if it didn't happen. At least, you know, you're getting somebody else's perspective. I would love to hear from all of you. So that's all I got for today. If you enjoyed that video, go ahead and slap that like button. You already know. I release videos every Wednesday and Friday, so if you like my videos and you want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as that bell button. I will also be doing a mental and physical recovery video, just because one big thing that I didn't find when I was looking things up was recovery videos. Even if I was just looking for a vaginal one, I couldn't really find any. So I'm definitely going to put that video out there, so definitely hit that subscribe and that icon so you know exactly when it drops. Also follow me on social media, links in the description below, you guys. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Besitos.